have our last and final speaker for this evening. I just want to thank everyone so much for hanging in there. I know this was a long summit packed with so much information. I am going to let our last speaker, Melanie Greenhouse, please correct me if I'm mispronouncing your last name. Melanie is a mother, community worker, entrepreneur, international speaker, and best-selling author, neuro coach, and founder of Collective Wisdom Coaching and Consulting. Melanie has spent 25 years serving others by helping them achieve their definition of success through personal and meaningful growth. So, welcome, Melanie, and take the stage.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. It's a hard gig to go last. So thank you very much for the introduction. If you're hanging in there and you're watching the replay, let's do this. So I want to talk about sort of wrapping up the business trends idea. There's one that is really set to explode in 2023, and it is something that each and every business has a vested interest in across the globe. And I want to start with a story first, because there's actually a personal connection for me. In 2009, my mum and sister died within 6 months of one another, and I was really suffering. So during the day, I could manage. As long as there was sunlight, I was okay. All right. So, the routine of the day, the kids, the chores, the meals, all of that. Because during that time, I had my 2 birth children, but I'd also taken on my sister's 2 children. So, it was a busy life. But what was really interesting was that I struggled when the sun went down. The house would get quiet when everybody went to bed, and it would just be me with my thoughts, and in particular, my grief. So many a night, I roamed around the house feeling really isolated and alone, and I needed something. I needed people. So I went and looked where I knew that there were people on the internet. So I was looking for hope, essentially. I needed people that understood what I was going through. Maybe they could suggest strategies and support me. So that's where I went looking. Now, what I did discover that there was always someone awake somewhere in the world. Okay. And remember, this was over a decade ago. So, when we talk about when the online communities that I was connected with there, or the digital communities, were really rudimentary. And, but it was interesting, because what I did find there was that the source of comfort, support, advice, and there was actually a lot of healing that could happen within those communities. And I really wanted to share that story, because every single one of us has an innate need for connection and belonging. It's just part of the human experience. And our need to connect is actually as fundamental as our need for water and food, right? But it doesn't necessarily show up in the same way. So what does this have to do with business trends in 2023, right? Well, we are still in recovery from the pandemic, and the impact of that was immense. We need to be really honest about that and engage with that. What we know is that people use digital communities and reached in to use the web to ease their suffering and their confusion. It helps them understand what was happening. It was a source of information, and it was a way for people to connect, particularly when we think about the global experience and people being separated, within outside of their country of origin. There was just so much that we relied on in terms of that digital connection. What we know about that is that some of these connections that people made and developing the skill set has actually meant that they have a more permanent place in their life. They've actually embedded it in, because humans do adapt. It's one of the things that we naturally, we learn, we grow, and we develop. All right. So what we can see at the moment within the technology is the development of a range of different platforms and tools and ways that people can connect. Essentially, what it's creating is something which I love, because I struggle a bit with the sales. What I love about this type of connection is that it is absolutely about community first, product later model. Yeah. So this is actually, well, it's one of the reasons why women are really leaning into this as a way of developing their customers, their brand, and themselves as they, they're fulfilling their business dreams. So what we're really seeing is there's a lot of reshaping of loyalty programs. So typically loyalty programs have been very much in person. They've been, whether they're a card or some sort of, reward system in a face-to-face interaction. And now we're really seeing the emergence of that as a digital tokenized kind of version that's just in our phones, in our laptops. It's everywhere with us, okay? The other side of that coin, though, which is really interesting, because yes, the consumer experience is really important, but there's the flip side, I suppose, is that as the business owners, we get to explore new product areas. So in the past, when we're talking about market research, we might be relying on another brand's data that we can have a look at. Whereas though this is actually creating communities where we get to do consultation with them, we get to talk with them daily. All right. And it allows us to develop these really rich relationships with them. One of the things that the research demonstrates is that in 2020, 21, 22, we saw a range, like huge numbers of people join communities that related to their hobbies or their interest areas. And what they're really predicting is that that will increase substantially in 2023. So it's really important to keep it in mind. If it's not something that you're currently utilizing, is it a tool that you can bring in? Customers have actually proven time and time again that they're willing to pay premium prices for innovative and compelling offerings, experiences, and connection with you. Yeah, you're the expert. You're the SME that they want to connect with. You are solving their problem. So they love the idea of accessing exclusive clubs and memberships. Yeah. Just think about that. Have you got an exclusive club that somebody might want to be a part of? No, not yet. Maybe it's ready for development in 2023. Ultimately, it's an opportunity for us to explore new places and foster those really deep connections with people. All right. It doesn't replace in-person connections. So if you're freaking out because you're like, I'm a face-to-face person, that's okay. It can actually be an additional tool that helps you develop another stream of income, diversifying, and just making those connections with leads into your business. So what makes for a great online community? Well, what the research tells us is that people love a powerful sign-up incentive. Wow, that's a pretty easy thing to be able to achieve, right? It's things like access to a network. Now, if you're somebody that's working in a career-related field, people want access to the network that's going to open up opportunities for them. Think about that. Do you have a network that people want to get into? Access to support. When I told that story before, support was really high on my list of wants and needs, okay? Really powerful sign-up incentive. Letting people know that they will receive the support they need in your community makes them more likely to join. And access to exclusive community content. This is where you get to blog, you get to do your webinars, you get to absolutely encourage discussions and get people connected with your content. Now, be aware. I want to raise, it's not all, sunshine and roses and lollipops, right? With everything we do, there's the benefits and there can also be the deficits. One of the challenges of this, and it's definitely what the research shows is the challenge for business owners, is making sure that the level of engagement and the discussion is of a high quality and that it's happening. It's not enough to set up an environment and then just expect it to magically bloom. It's not going to do that. as managers of these spaces, it's really important to be active. You've got to be in there stimulating and creating the conversation. And, you know, going back to the blogging, the events, the webinars, just anything that can help people get stimulated and start that conversation is absolutely where it's at. All right. One thing I wanted to say about today, we have had so much information. Yeah. You could easily be thrown into overwhelm. And I just would love to go back to, you know, when the earlier start where we were talking about breathing. Yeah. What I encourage you to do, yeah, I'm talking about community. Somebody else is talking about branding, PR, la, 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 la. You know what? Take a moment, watch this over again, write a personal prescription that will work for you. You get to take and leave any of the information, hopefully not all of the information, but whatever you need, you can bring on board. 2023, there's 11 months left. Create a plan and just make your way through it. So don't get stuck in the overwhelm. Okay, that's not what we want. We're here to support you. Now, to wrap this up, when I look back now, I didn't realize just how powerful that online community that I connected with in 2016 was for me. What I found, though, was a group of people who understood me. They understood what I was going through, and beyond making the nights bearable, they led me towards the services that provided me with the support I needed. And why did it work? It worked because I felt connected and like I belonged. So that is the power that you have. Connection and belonging this year is absolutely where it's at. So go forth and have a go. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Melanie.